A policeman is a composite of what all men are, I guess, a mingling of saint and sinner, dust and deity. What that really means is that they are exceptional, they are unusual, they are not commonplace. Buried under the froth is the fact, and the fact is that less than 0.5% of policemen misfit that uniform, and that is a better average than you'd find among clergymen. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted, a strangely nameless creature who is sir to his face and pig or worse behind his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think he won, but if a policeman is neat, he's conceited. If he's careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which would require months for a lawyer, but if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident, infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform and without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. The policeman from a single human hair must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal is hiding, but if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. He runs files and writes reports until his eyes ache to build a case against some felon who will get dealed out by a shameless Seamus. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. And of course he'll have to be a genius because he'll have to feed a family on a policeman's salary.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be starting here in about 1 to 2 minutes. If you would, go ahead and please silence your cell phones. Thank you. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jason Hester, Major for Education, Training, and Research Division. If you would, please rise for the posting of the colors by the Region 2 DPS Honor Guard and the National Anthem being played by the Texas DPS Pipe and Drum Corps.
Please be seated. Good morning. I am Frank Woodall. I'm the Chief Training Officer, Education, Training, and Research Division for the Texas Department of Public Safety. On the 21st day of June, 67 applicants reported to the DPS Academy for their modified recruit training. All of these applicants were required to be already certified as a Texas Peace Officer and have a minimum of 2 years experience. Today, 52 of those have completed the training and are ready to make the transition to a Texas State Trooper. I present to you the 153rd Trooper Training Class, B 2015. Have the troops be seated. If you'll join me in congratulating this class. Thank you. This is a special day. This is a special day for these men and women. 864 applicants applied for this school. As I told you, only 67 reported. Only 52 are graduating. So it is a very special day for them. It's a special day for their accomplishment. We also understand it's a very special day for you, their family members, because you're the ones that have given them the support while they've been going through this school. So this is a day for celebration for you also. And please feel free to join in the celebration with these recruits. We have several special guests that have joined us today. We have members from the DPSOA, Texas State Troopers Association, the 100 Club of Central Texas, various state, federal, and county law enforcement agencies. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your attendance. There's also a group of folks that reported before these recruits did. They have seen the exact same hours of duty that these recruits are, and that's the recruit counselors. Sergeant Scott Frazier, Texas Highway Patrol, Big Spring. Sergeant Frazier. Sergeant Virgil Verdusco, Highway Patrol, San Marcos. And Sergeant Valerie Galesko, Education, Training, and Research Officer. We also have a group of people that have helped them while they were here, helped them to get here. If I have those members of the recruiting staff, if you would please stand to be recognized. Thank you for all that you do. While they're here, somebody has to be involved in their training to try to get them prepared to accept those duties, as well as the administrative duties that require to make sure they've got everything that they need. So I'd ask the members of the Education, Training, and Research Division, if you'd stand, please be recognized. As I said, today is a special day. It's a day of celebration. So we hope that you will be involved in celebrating the successes of your family members as they graduate from this recruit school. It is now my privilege to introduce to you the Director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Steve McCraw.
Good morning, and thank you for being here today. Not all warriors wear a gun and badge or serve in the greatest military force in mankind, the U.S. military forces. I mean, some of them spend their life pursuing policies and legislation that better protect Texans and also support the men and women of the Department of Public Safety and law enforcement throughout the state. We have one such member here today, and we have some staff members of other members. And we're very fortunate to have Chairman and Representative Richard Raymond is our keynote speaker today. Thank you, sir. And he'll be introduced a little later by Chair Leon. The Department of Public Safety is governed by the Public Safety Commission, which is comprised of 5 men and women that oversee the Department operations and administration and policy. They are nominated by the governor, approved by the Senate, and we're fortunate to have 3 of our members here today. First, Commissioner Manny Flores, if you please stand, sir. And Commissioner Randy Watson, if you please stand. We also have Commissioner and Chair Cindy Leon, which I'll introduce a little later so we can forego the standing this time, Madam Chair, with your permission. Okay. On behalf of every member of the Department of Public Safety, I want to underscore what Chief and Assistant Director Woodall said. That families matter, and our family and friends that matter. And thank you for being here today. Thank you for raising these wonderful human beings, these selfless and dedicated individuals. Thank you for instilling the character and values necessary to become a Department of Public Safety state trooper. And thank you for the support throughout certainly training school, but not now, but also in the future. And this is a unique training school because you've already supported them when they've been out there protecting citizens of Texas, because all of them are commissioned law enforcement officers before they touch ground. So that's very important. We recognize that, and thank you. And welcome to the Department of Public Safety family, because you are our extended family, and we are there for you, and certainly you'll be there for us, and we know that. The Texas Department of Public Safety has been called on to address every major public threat imaginable that the state has faced over the years. And that includes natural disasters, whether it's hurricanes, wildfires, tornadoes, and floods. Highway safety. Every year we don't forget that over 3,000 Texans or people lose their lives on highways and roadways. Violent crimes from gangsters of the 1930s. We lost 2 troopers back then. And also violent offenders and mass shooters today that threaten Texans, and high-threat criminals. Organized crime, including transnational gangs that threaten Texans. Statewide gangs, prison gangs, and the Mexican cartels. And terrorism, including the Islamic State, or ISIS, or ISIL, whatever you prefer. Al-Qaeda and other Sunni extremist organizations that seek to destroy us and our way of life. And when the leadership and the legislature of the state, of this great state, calls upon the Department of Public Safety, we get things done regardless of the danger and difficulty. We've been doing that since 1823. First is the Texas Rangers. And in 1935, the state legislature combined the Texas Rangers and Texas Highway Patrol together to create an elite police organization that's second to none. And the reason for our success, as I mentioned before, is our people. Our people embody our core values of integrity, of excellence, of accountability, of teamwork. And they have an unwavering commitment to our mission, protect and serve Texas. And we know the world has dramatically changed over the last 2 decades. Crime is increasingly transnational, it's transitory, it's organized, it's intertwined, and it's discrete. And terrorism has become more disaggregated, which is a greater threat to Texans and Americans everywhere. As a Texas State Trooper, you will serve on the front line in protecting the public from these evolving threats and more. These are the things that DPS officers must adhere to throughout their career. And a few of them I'd like to mention. First, to perform our mission and attain our goals as citizens of Texans, have entrusted you with enormous powers and discretion. It is vital that we as an organization and you as individuals, use that discretion in a thoughtful, truthful, and forthright manner, regardless of the consequences. When an officer lies or cheats, their testimony is forever tarnished and they can no longer serve in the Department of Public Safety. A lifelong reputation of integrity will be lost in a second and can never be retained. Now, I don't have to tell you this because you are commissioned officers and you already performed at an exceptional level, but it's always important to remind that and also to remind the public in terms of the type of people and the caliber of people that we hire. Second, always remember that as a Texas State Trooper, you will be highly visible wherever you're at. And the people that see you will judge you. They'll judge your fellow troopers. They'll judge the Texas Rangers. They'll judge the entire department and even the state of Texas, and by your demeanor. And this includes on and off duty. Be courteous and respectful to everyone you come in contact with. It will make a lasting impression. That's how they will remember the Department of Public Safety. And there's no excuse for rude behavior. And it's one of our mottos is courtesy. We lead with it, courtesy, service, and protection. It's something that we embody and we practice. It's exactly what we practice, and there's a reason for it, a number of reasons. But courteous, even to the most vile offender, is important. That's how you get consent. That's how you get cooperation. That's how you get confessions. And no one's going to do any of those things if you treat them rudely. And troopers are vital to the safety and security of Texas, and you have an obligation to seek continuous improvement in your profession, which means your trade craft. You improve yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. And training builds competence. And competence builds confidence, and that's important. But beware of overconfidence or arrogance. And I mentioned yesterday that a quote, one famous quote of mine, not of mine, but someone I quoted, is arrogance is the anesthesia that brings out or dulls the pain of stupidity. And I mean that seriously, is that we can never be arrogant. You can be elite, we can be proud, but never arrogant. We work closely with our brothers and sisters from other law enforcement agencies. For example, I'm going to talk one example, and you all are former commissioned officers, you've been there, done that. You've done patrol duty, you know how to do it, so it's going to be a little bit different. But I still want to use an example of one of our troopers that was a little overconfident, a little arrogant, came out of here, thought they could clean up crime in the Texas Panhandle in 6 months, that he was out of here, and then move on to other parts of the state. And this same trooper that went out there thought that he had mastered, never had done a traffic stop, but thought he had mastered it. All the skills. Had certainly memorized the DPS 7-step violator interview and was prepared to exercise it on his first stop with his field training officer next to him, stopped the vehicle, got out of the vehicle, lined it up perfectly, started approaching it just the way he was trained, securing, worried about the back, got all the corners, moving towards, and something he wouldn't recognize happened. All of a sudden he sees this patrol car moving forward. Well, fortunately, he was able to jump back in, slam it into park, and of course, the vehicle nearly hit the violator's vehicle. Did not do that, thankfully, for that trooper. But that trooper didn't exactly impress the violator, certainly the citizen, and the child that was in that car, nor did he impress his partner, quite frankly. And the lesson learned when you get out there, and this is more importantly if you hadn't been a commissioned officer, is put the vehicle in park before you get out of the car, okay? And that's important. Now, that lesson was first learned in 1977, okay? And the lesson of that, put it in park, was learned by the current director of the Department of Public Safety, who's standing before you right now. So, it is now my privilege to introduce the chairman of the Public Safety Commission, who is from Mission, Texas. A. Cynthia Lone is a retired federal senior executive. Also served our nation in the United States Naval Reserve, retiring at the rank of captain. She has served in the Public Safety Commission since January of 2011, and she is a chairman since 2012, and she's done an extraordinary job and an exceptional leader, as you would expect from her background. Chairman Leon.
Thank you, Director McCraw. You yourself is one outstanding leader, and we are so privileged to have you head of this organization. And to all the recruits here today, thank you for your hard work and dedication you've shown these past 8 weeks. I'm very proud of you, especially since 7 of you are from Mission, Texas, where I'm from. Yeah. And the majority are from the Rio Grande Valley, so it's just great. Before today, as mentioned, each of you was an established peace officer in your own right, having already made the selfless commitment to serve and to protect your communities. And today, the Department of Public Safety is proud to now call you Texas Highway Patrol Troopers. You have stood up to the challenges of the DPS recruit school and have earned the right to be called a state trooper. I encourage you to take a moment to appreciate the person you've become and the path that brought you here. Years ago, you chose to join one of the greatest professions in the world, law enforcement, in order to fulfill a calling in your life and career to protect and help others. A calling that only a few people truly understand, let alone have the grit, the skill, and the character to undertake. The realization of that mission continues today as you vow to serve and protect the great state of Texas and to honorably carry on the esteemed traditions of this department. You are among an elite group who have what it takes to be guardians of public safety, defending Texas from deplorable criminals, would-be terrorists, and all manner of natural and man-made disasters. By just reporting for duty each day, you pledge to protect others no matter what dangers that come your way. You are a true champion dressed in Texas tan. As you don your trooper uniform at the start of each shift, never forget that it signifies great authority and honor and is recognized as an emblem of trust, strength, and your commitment to protecting the communities you serve. Always remember that the DPS badge is a symbol of leadership and that the citizens of Texas have entrusted you with enormous powers and discretion, and they expect and deserve for you to live up to that responsibility. The people of Texas are relying on you to draw on your training at DPS and your previous peace officer experience to guide you as an outstanding leader and steward of their trust. Realize that when you endeavor to achieve great things, you will motivate others to do the same. Each of you has the unique opportunity to dramatically change people's lives by simply caring. I have confidence that you will make us all proud, and I want to welcome you to the DPS family. And I wish you all the best as you continue this incredible journey. Today, we are honored to be joined by a man who exemplifies what it means to serve one's community. Texas State Representative Richard Raymond has dedicated his career to serving others as a high-ranking and respected member of the Texas legislature. Representative Raymond serves as chairman of the House Human Services Committee and a member of the Judiciary and Civil Jurisprudence Committee. We are grateful for his leadership and for his continued support of the men and the women of the Department of Public Safety. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to introduce to you State Representative Richard Raymond.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for your service, and commissioners, thank you also for being here. Of course, I want to thank Director McCraw for everything that he does. You know, I took the oath of office for the first time as a state representative in January 1993. I'm willing to bet that some of you either weren't born or weren't very old when I first took office. But from then to now, I've had a chance to deal with so many people in government, especially obviously state government. And there are a lot of good folks out there. But then you have those, like you are, in fact, the cream of the crop that stands today to join this wonderful organization. So too we have cream of the crop that serve and head up our agencies. And Steve McCraw has been one of those who I'm very, very happy
decided to engage in public service because when he worked for the governor, heading up Homeland Security, and then became director of DPS, that entire time, I love working with him because he is so dedicated to the men and women that he represents, dedicated to the safety of this state, and you have to have great leaders to head up great organizations, and that's what you have today. And I just want to take a minute to tell you, you are very, very lucky to have Steve McCraw as the director of the Department of Public Service, and I want you to give him a hand because he takes a lot of beatings at the Capitol, so let's give him a hand today. And when I first ran for office, reporters would ask, well, what issues do you think are important? What do you care about? Again, from then to now, they ask all the time, and I'll say the economy. The economy is very important. Creating jobs, allowing people to have a chance to earn enough money to buy a house, hopefully help send their kids to college, get a good education. Roads are important. The environment's important. All these different things that we deal with, and we deal with so many different things in the legislature. It's part of what makes it a very interesting job. But I said in 1992 when I was running, and I say today, and I've never stopped saying, that above all of that, the most important thing is the public safety. Because if we don't get that right, then we don't get any of it right. We really don't. And so at times, of course, I have to remind some of my colleagues that it is the most important thing that we deal with. Making sure that our communities are safe, making sure that we support the men and women who are willing to dedicate their lives, as Steve McCraw has done, as the commissioners have done by their service, as all of you who work for DPS. And of course, I want to mention Commander Joe Rodriguez, with who I get a chance to work with down in my neck of the woods all the time. Commander, it's good to see you as well. So I have to remind folks, because part of what happens in our society, because we are a great state and we're a great country, is that people at times take for granted when things go well. They think that their communities are safe just because they're going to be safe. Well, that's not the way it works. They're safe because of the work and the dedication of a lot of men and women who are willing to put on that uniform, who are willing to go through what they have to go through. And by the way, they're safe because of all the families, all of you who are here, families, friends, children who support those who are willing to serve. That's why our communities are safe. And sometimes in the political debate that we sometimes have to remind each other, and I am one of those that will remind members all the time, that we have to have the public safety before we get into anything else. I'll tell you, I'm a Democrat, and I remember a few years ago, it's hard to believe that I can even tell this story, but a few years ago, we're on the floor of the House during session. It's well into the session where, people can kind of start sniping at each other. And so I had a couple of Democrats who were on the back mic. The person on the front mic is presenting a bill or an amendment or whatever. And then you go to the back mic and debate and question them or ask them about their proposal. Well, anyway, so a couple of Democrats from Houston go to the back mic and start attacking Governor Perry for not doing enough to secure the border or to invest in the border. Well, I had worked very closely with Steve McCraw and many folks in your agency and with the Department of Homeland Security, the Governor's Department of Office of Homeland Security. And so I had to go to the microphone and say, look, hold on a second. You want to disagree with Governor Perry on certain issues, that's fine. I'm probably going to be on your same side. But if you want to talk about the border and say that Governor Perry doesn't have enough interest and isn't willing to invest in the border and border security, then I can't stand here silently and let you do that because you're wrong. And I had to do that. And of course, thankfully, they respected me enough that they got off the mic and they stopped talking about that. You can imagine, now looking back on it, to say that Rick Perry didn't care enough and wasn't interested enough and wasn't willing to do enough to help secure the border. It's laughable. But what he did was bring attention to something that we needed attention brought to. I think back, I'm looking at the folks that were the graduates today, and one of them is from Grande City. My mother, all my family on my mother's side is from Stark County. When I was 16 years old, 1977, summer of 1977, I got a job. Commissioner Flores said I probably shouldn't have gotten once I was 16, but I went to work with this guy that was distributing beer. You know, driving the truck and taking the beer to the beer joints and to the little stores and so forth. Man, I was looking for work all the time, so he was dating my cousin, and I met him, and he said, I need an assistant. Well, what he really meant was he needed somebody to take all the cases of beer down, because we'd get there, find out how many cases I needed, and I was the guy who got them down. Anyway, but it was that summer, I'll never forget, it was that summer when things began to get bad. The drive from Rio Grande City to Roma, that is one of the poorest areas, it's got to be, in the country. I've seen that all my life. I'd seen that since I was a kid. And then all of a sudden that summer, you started seeing these really nice houses pop up, brick homes, stone, really pretty homes. And you'd always see this big pickup, right, in those driveways. And so I learned what was going on is that the drug trade began to really take off. And those homes that you were seeing were drug dealers. They were buying those homes, building those homes, and they all had big old trucks for a reason. And I also remember that summer where somebody walked into one of these beer joints, I guess, cantinas, in downtown Rio Grande City, because they had a dispute or they were mad or something, but it was one of the drug dealers. And they went in there with a machine gun and they shot up the place. And the place had a bunch of mirrors. So I remember walking in there after it had happened, delivering beer, and looking at all the bullet holes and all these mirrors that had been shot up with this machine gun. I remember also that one of those drug dealers was busted by law enforcement in Rio Grande City. If I recall, I believe it was a DPS trooper. And that person was convicted. And then subsequently, that law enforcement officer was killed. Stabbed, as I remember, stabbed and run over with their own vehicle. And that stuck with me. I mean, you can imagine. I'm seeing this happen. I grew up in Benavides, the town of that time 1900 in Duval County. Small town, safe town. And seeing that made an impression on me that I've just never forgotten. And perhaps that's why by the time years later that I would run for office, I would say the most important priority we can have is to make sure that we have, that the public is safe. I've never forgotten that. Now let me tell you all something. You are more courageous than I am. You know, when I was growing up in that little town, there were some kids that would smoke pot. There were some kids that would use pills. And, you know, it bothered me. To this day, I've never tried any illegal drugs, and I just haven't. So I saw that going on, and I saw some great kids, great athletes, and some really good students that ruined their lives very young because they got sidetracked into drugs. And so I literally hated drugs. I hated this concept of drugs. So I go off to college. I went to the University of Texas. After that, I got a chance to work for a couple of U.S. senators, got into government, enjoyed what I was doing, but of course always going home. My mother was a school teacher, and I remember when I was 22 years old being back home and my mother just mentioning that they had caught some kids in that little school where I grew up with cocaine. And I was devastated because I remember thinking, well, I'd heard about cocaine. I thought, well, that'll never make it to our little towns, you know. We're okay, we're separated from that. Well, when my mother tells me that, it was a blow to me, man. And I remember just thinking to myself and then talking to my grandfather, who was from Laredo, grew up in Laredo, and I was very, very close to him. And I said, you know, maybe what I need to do is dedicate my life and get into law enforcement and fight this scourge of drugs that I could see. I said, if they've gotten to these little towns, then it's bad. Then it's really bad. And he looked at me, and he was a tough guy. He worked in the oil fields from the 1930s to the 1970s. Tough guy. And he said, son, he said, you know, I'll always support whatever you want to do. He says, but if you do that, they'll kill you. What do you mean? He says, well, if you dedicate your life to that and you're good at it, they're going to kill you. I mean, shoot. So I decided I wasn't going to get into law enforcement in that moment. I didn't want to die quite yet. But I decided to get into public service and support those of you who had more guts than I did and had a deeper commitment to the public safety than I believe I have. I am committed to that. But I don't kid myself. What you do on a daily basis is so much more important than what I do on a daily basis. I'm proud to support you. I'm proud to help do everything I can to make sure you have the tools and the support to do the work that you need to do to protect our communities. But you are braver than me, and you are more important than any of us sitting in that Capitol. And I hope that you know that there are so many of us that look up to you and the work that you do because we know how important it is. I remember, some of you will remember reading about, and some of you will recall, the bombing of the Murrah building in Oklahoma City. I was a freshman. It was my first term. About a year later, I got a letter in the mail, and it was no return address. They had handwritten my address, and they'd put a picture of that building in that envelope, and then they had written in block, it wasn't handwriting, it was in block writing. It said, have you ever thought what would happen if you died today? Right? And then it went on to talk about how bad we were at the Capitol. So I promptly turned it over to the Texas Rangers. I remember then, a few years ago now, I'm in Laredo, middle of the day. I get a text message from my chief of staff. My office is on the first floor of the Capitol. I get a message from my chief of staff that says, I just heard some shots, gunshots. What should I do? So I texted back, lock the door, go to my office, open the window, and get ready to jump out, because I didn't know what the hell else to tell him. But that was when we had some guy go into the Capitol, try to engage a young lady that would not come to him, went out and stood in front of the Capitol and started shooting. And it was DPS troopers, of course, who subdued him and did not kill him. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. If I had been one of you guys, I probably would have shot him. But you all didn't shoot him. You were able to bring him down without having to do that. I mention those two things because the world has changed. It really has. It just appears to be a more challenging world now in terms of making sure that the public is safe. It has changed, and so we have to be prepared to change as well. Those of us, I believe, who are in these positions in the legislature, for example, to help make sure that we protect the public, to make sure that we make the investment, that we never forget the priority, that we have to recognize the priority of that public safety. And so, I'll tell you, I think it's worth making that investment, by the way. This morning when I was driving over here, I was listening to CNN on the radio. And in Cuba, just an hour ago, we raised the United States flag at the United States Embassy, a flag that had been brought down in 1961, when I wasn't quite 1 year old yet. And the 3 Marines, by the way, that lowered that flag were there today. And I want to tell you something that really struck me. That those 3 Marines had said 54 years ago when they lowered that flag, they said, we will return and we will raise this flag again. The only reason that happened today, folks, there's only one reason, is because the United States of America was willing to invest in the safety of this country. We were willing to invest what we needed to invest to make sure that we were safe and secure. And so we beat back communism. We beat back the threat of the Cuban Missile Crisis from then to now. And that is the only reason, because we were willing to make that investment in the public safety and the safety of this country, the safety and security of this country, that today those 3 Marines were able to realize their dreams of one day going back, and those 3 Marines stood there today as that flag went up. It was because of our commitment to public safety and to security of this country. So when I was asked if I would be willing to come today to thank you all, to recognize you today who are joining these ranks, and I know that all of you were committed to public safety already because all of you were trained law enforcement and serving in law enforcement before you joined the DPS, so I know your commitment is not new. I know it is something that you decided some time ago. But when I was asked if I was willing to come, I said yes, because I want you to make sure that you know this. And I think the director did a great job, by the way, of reminding you that you have to be professional, of course. But I know it's got to be challenging. Heck, it's challenging for me as an elected official when somebody comes and gets in my face, right? And they'll do it sometimes. Trust me. People just feel like they have to. They feel like they got to be rude, feel like they got to get in your face, feel like they got to try to make you react in a way that they can now, by the way, videotape, right? Film you. I mean, during the session, this last session, we had guys walking up to, we didn't realize what was going on at first, found out later. We had reporters, types, coming up to legislators asking us, in many instances, really crazy questions and trying to get a rise out of us, right? And it finally happened to me. This guy came up to me and asked me something. I'd already prepared myself because I'd heard about it. I'd prepared to say what I was going to say, no matter what he asked. But he came up to me and I said, "Oh, are you one of those guys that's filming people?" And he just looks at me. I said, "Look, man, just tell me, are you one of those guys that's filming us? Is that why you're asking me these questions?" He says, "Well, yes." "Okay." I said, "Well, I just wanted to make sure, and I asked you a question." So he asked me, I don't remember what the heck he asked me, but he was trying to get a rise out of me. So I looked at him and I said, "I think we need to do everything we can to secure the border, to create jobs, and to cut taxes." So he looked at me and he asked me another question. I looked at him and I said, "I think we need to do everything we can to secure the border, create jobs, and cut taxes." He asked me a third question. I looked at him and I said, "I think we need to do everything we can to secure the border, create jobs, and cut taxes." Well, at that point, he just, got frustrated. But, we deal with that stuff. Well, unfortunately, at times, you're going to deal with that too. And, nobody is perfect. No organization, I don't care who you are, is 100% perfect. We are human beings. We are going to make mistakes. I'm married. I have 3 teenagers. I promise you, those 3 teenagers make mistakes, and they think I make mistakes. And certainly my wife believes I make mistakes as well. And we all make mistakes. But I hope that as you go into it, that you just keep in mind you're dealing with folks out there, some that are very, very dangerous, and some that are very annoying, and some that are perfect, wonderful folks. But I know it's a challenge. But I know you're up to it. And let me tell you, you've joined a wonderful organization that will allow you to continue to develop your skills, your leadership. I am very proud that in Laredo, the city that I represent, Webb County, the county that I represent, our police chief, Ray Gardner, was one of you, was a member of DPS, I believe, for close to 30 years. And he's now our police chief. And the commander over here can tell you, and the director can tell you, he does a great job for us in Laredo as our police chief. Our sheriff, Webb County Sheriff, Martin Cuellar, was one of you guys. He was a member of DPS for, I believe, 25 years before he decided to resign and run for sheriff. And he does a great job. This is a wonderful opportunity for you all, not only to serve the public, not only to help secure our communities and keep them safe, but it's going to allow you to grow in your leadership skills, going to allow you to pursue other things in your career should you decide to do that. And I congratulate you for stepping up, for accepting the challenge to do this, for your commitment. I know you're going to do great. I am one of those that very much appreciates every single one of you, even those of you who at times stop me when I at times speed. I try not to do that very often. I really use my cruise control. But Commander, I guess it's our fault. One of those 70 miles per hour, and then it's 75 miles per hour, and then it's back to 70. So, it kind of throws me off. But so even if I'm using the cruise control, I can be off. But I appreciate the work you do, and I know how dangerous it is. I'm from Laredo. I know how dangerous the work can be. And I really hope there's nobody from the press here. For those of us, I'll wrap it up with this. For those of us who are in office like I am, it's a very thin line for us. I don't want the world to think Laredo is an unsafe place to go, because it isn't. It is a very safe place to go, frankly, because of DPS, because of the Sheriff's Department, because of the Laredo Police Department. Laredo is a very safe place to go. But it's safe because we continue to make that investment and because we continue to have people who are committed to making sure that it's a safe place to go. But I look just across the river there, right? And I see people that I know. The former mayor, the mayor that we have now has been in office a year and a half, the mayor that preceded him. A wonderful man, a great guy. I never met anybody any better. Great guy, got his wife, 3 kids, same age as my kids. We dealt a lot with each other, worked on a lot of things. I never went over there, to be honest with you. He always came over here. None of us got any clue or had any information or appeared to have anything that said he was connected in any way to the bad guys. Really didn't. And I would get that intel. I work with law enforcement all the time, and that's the intel that I would get. And we didn't think so, but we've sort of confirmed that. Well, he leaves office, right? And a month or 2 months after he leaves office, one evening at 8 in the evening, he and a friend of his go to the drugstore. And by the way, he doesn't even have bodyguards because I guess he didn't think he needed them because he never really dealt with these guys or tried to keep his distance. Well, he just disappears, right? And they find him 6 weeks later. Outside of Monterey, the law enforcement there stopped a pickup that was driving too fast, and in the back of the pickup was a former mayor and this friend of his that had gone to the drugstore with him that night. They had beaten him. They'd just beaten him severely, and then finally just slashed his throat and killed him. And you see that. When I see that, I mean, it is a reminder that we are safe, but we are that close to something that is not safe. And we have to be sure that we recognize that. It is a different country, and I have a lot of wonderful people with whom I've dealt with in Mexico, public officials and business folks and so forth. But the work that you do will make sure that it doesn't cross over here, or you try to stop it from crossing over here. You try to clip their wings as much as possible. So I, as someone who lives in Laredo, I appreciate what you all are doing. I appreciate that we stand here today and recognize you for your commitment. I wish you all the best. I know God will bless you. And I want to thank you on behalf of the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the House, and every member of the Texas legislature for your commitment, for your service, and your dedication. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless all of your family and friends who are here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your continued support to law enforcement. We will now have a couple of presentations of awards. I would like to introduce to you the physical fitness training instructor, Lieutenant Greg Davis.
B-15, good morning. Now, you heard me going after C-15 this morning, didn't you? Yeah. Congratulations to you. Ladies and gentlemen, any recruit that comes to Texas Department of Public Safety Training Academy is subjected to a 12-tiered physical fitness assessment and development program. What's unique about this school is I had 7 weeks to work with and develop a tailored program for them so they get the prime opportunity and equal and fair opportunity to develop themselves physically all the way around. At the end of this 7-week program, I'm happy to announce that you're looking at 100% of a class who has improved in every facet of their physical fitness and health since they've been here with us for the short 7 weeks. We have entry scores that we take on them that is comprised of a VO2 assessment. Basically, we're taking a look at how well the body takes in oxygen and utilizes that oxygen for energy and sustained effort. We then take a look at a standard type of application with your crunch and push-up and mile-and-a-half run. And then we finish up with a PEB assessment, which is a way of measuring certain types of anaerobic capacities and agility, speed, and power And then they go over that again at the end of the 7th week to get another exit score, so that way they see where they were when they started and where they ended up in just 7 weeks. This school made remarkable changes and remarkable improvements in such a short period of time. I wish I had them for 19 weeks. They probably don't, but nonetheless, they did an outstanding job. Outstanding job. Congratulations, B-15. As I told them in day one, the number one killer in law enforcement is cardiovascular disease and heart disease. That is the number one killer amongst law enforcement. And the only strategy you have to stave off that killer is proper exercise and regular nutrition. You gotta have that. And that's the one thing we hounded them the entire time that they're here. So some of y'all probably saw that nutritional packet when they came home over the weekend. And we hope that they stay with that. The agency has nurturing and resources in the field for you for the rest of your career. And we expect you to hold on to that, okay? We have it here at headquarters and out in the field, so be sure to be tapping into us. For however long as you wear that Texas tan, it is distinction. It has history behind it. That badge of honor that you carry has the exact same distinction. That sidearm you carry is a tremendous responsibility. As you know, you're all former law enforcement officers, but with this Texas tan, you've given up your right to be unfit and unready. That's my last piece of advice to you. All right? Okay. As with any class, there's always one person who stands out amongst his or her peers. This individual came to us in great physical conditioning, and he has still improved upon himself while he was there, and it speaks volumes of his commitment to fitness, not for his tenure as a law enforcement officer, but for his lifestyle, for his lifetime. And that's what we try to instill here amongst our employees at the agency. So I'm pleased to present on behalf of the Texas Department of Public Safety Education, Training, and Research Division the Distinguished Physical Fitness Award to Michael Carrillo.
This class had over 400 hours of curriculum that they had to complete before graduation. That 400 hours of curriculum required many tests. Each student is required to maintain a minimum of an 80 grade point average. This class did exceptionally well. As a class, their overall average was 94.7. One student One trooper trainee stood out among the others, just like in physical fitness. With an average of 98.14, trooper trainee Clint Weekly gained the Academic Achievement Award for this class.
Every recruit class, we ask each class to pick a service project that they're required to do while they're here. It fits with the motto of the organization of courtesy, service, and protection. This class chose to make a donation to the Hunter Club of Central Texas in the memory of Sergeant Chris Kelly, who was killed in the line of duty from the Huddle Police Department. Today, we have some representatives from the Hunter Club. I'd like for Elisa Richards, Don Dixon, and Sergeant Moore to stand and be recognized. This class has donated $1,011 to the Hunter Club of Central Texas. Thank you very much for being here. Director McCraw, I present to you the graduates seated before you today have passed all the training requirements as set forth by the Texas DPS Training Advisory Board and are hereby eligible for appointment as Texas State Troopers.
Prepare the troopers to take the oath. Repeat after me and use your name when I use mine. I, Stephen McCraw, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of a trooper for the Department of Public Safety, the state of Texas. I will never betray my integrity or the public trust. And I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and this state. So help me God.
Prepare for the presentation of badges. Joe Louis Abreu. Joshua Allen Berger. Presenting his credentials is his brother, LaGrange Police Officer Andrew Berger. Jose Briseno. Ethan Alton Brown. Justin Lee Carrasco. Michael Anthony Carrillo. Guadalupe Casarez. Marco Castaneda. Fidel Castro. Toby Glenn Clifton. Rachael Lee Cummings. Presenting her credentials is Texas Game Warden and her husband, James Cummings. Ricardo de Hoyos, Jr. Bryan Dorsey. Christoper Dozier. Kody Edwards. Presenting his credentials is his father-in-law, Trooper 2, Wayne Johnson. Job Espinoza. Presenting his credentials is his brother, Texas Game Warden, Joshua Espinoza. Carlo H. Flores. Herbert Josue Fuentes. Russell Gallo. Fabian N. Garza. Josue Granos. Adrian K. Harris. Juan Infante. Christopher Aaron Janis. Tyler Lee Kruger. Philip Ray Kusha. William Jordan Larimore. Alan Lycon. Vanessa Lugo. Britton L. Marlowe. Esteban Martinez, Jr. Braden Moore. Ernesto Marino. Christopher Nash. Jeremy Wayne Orr. John Patterson. Stephen Petrick. Dustin Ponce. David Quintanilla. Presenting his credentials is his brother, U.S. Border Patrol agent Samuel Quintanilla. Billy Joe Ray III. Mario H. Rios. Karina A. Rodriguez. Nathan Timothy Rodriguez. Presenting his credentials is his father, Captain Abraham Rodriguez, with the Cameron County Sheriff's Office. Jonathan Hillsman Rutledge. Juan Carlos Sacida. Ezekiel Schultz. Caleb Allen Steele. Robert M. Trevino. Anthony R. Tucker. Chad Michael Walker. Clint Russell Weekly. William B. Wyndham. We will now have the benediction by Class Chaplain, Trooper Joe Abreu.
Class, attention. Uncovered.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could join us for the class benediction, please.
Father God, we give you thanks for this day, a day that was a tremendous blessing for our lives. Thank you for being there for Class B15 when we needed you the most and for helping us walk according to your will. You provided us both with mental and physical strength, constantly reminding us you were there. We also give you thanks for our counselors, the instructors, and our superior staff for guiding us and teaching us the DPS way to progress in our careers. We ask that you bless them, their families, and their careers greatly. Through this academy, Father God, relating to your word in Psalm 66, 10-12, knowing you, O God, have proved us. You refined us as silver is refined. You brought us into the net. You placed distress on our backs. You have allowed people to ride over our heads. We went through fire and through water, but you brought us out into abundance. Most important of all, Father God, we want to give you thanks for the ones who have been there since day one, our families. Thank you for our spouses, children, parents, siblings, and everyone else who is here today. Through them, Father God, we could see and feel true love and support we all needed to make it to this day. As we continue to give you thanks, we ask that you continue to walk beside us as we serve the great state of Texas, that we may take everything we have learned and apply it into our careers, so that while wearing the Texas tan, we represent the department favorably. Father God, I now quote your word, spreading blessing and protections for all my brothers and sisters in blue. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God, in Matthew 5:9. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Class, read, cover. God bless everyone.
Please be seated. To the troopers of the 153rd training class, congratulations. You'll soon be transferred from the Command of Education, Training, and Research to the command of the Chief of the Highway Patrol, Assistant Director Luis Gonzalez. As the Chief of Training, I give you my last order. As you continue in your training, continue to learn. The more you know, the more effective you will be in your duties. Always keep yourself physically fit and mentally alert. Your personal survival will depend upon it. And lastly, keep yourself ethically straight. Your professional survival will depend upon it. Chief Gonzalez, I transfer the troopers of the 153rd Recruit Training Class to your command.
Good morning. B-2015, as Chief of the Texas Highway Patrol, I have the distinct honor and privilege of giving you your first official order as the newest commissioned members of the Texas Highway Patrol Division. But first I have to ask you, are you ready? Sir, yes, sir. Very well. B-2015, you are hereby ordered to report to your assigned stations on August 31st of this year, ready, willing, and able to accept your duties as Texas State Troopers. Trooper, or you may dismiss the class.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes our ceremony. We have a place for you to take some pictures out back, and also for those that need to take the pictures up front that were previously scheduled, would you please handle that now? Thank you very much, and please be safe.